So I think Mark Zuckerberg is wrong. What's going on, everybody? David Feldman-Makrias, and came across this article yesterday. Mark Zuckerberg just declared war on the entire advertising industry. Zuck's vision for infinite creative would wipe out the way whole ad stacks works. Basically, if you want to read the full article, it's in the description of this video. Basically, his claim is that AI is going to just make ad media creatives and buyers obsolete. And I just don't think that's true. So we're going to go over some of this article. I'm not going to go over everything, but go over some highlights. So here's the intro. It's not really a secret that the advertising industry is about to get upended by AI. I think it already has a lot of it. I think Google, especially with AI, when you talk about ads, it totally has. We've been using responsive search ads as an example for years now. And, with all the different auto applies and all the different dynamic ads and dynamic site links and dynamic assets, we've been seeing that all the time. But it's actually, I think, made ads less effective, right? So, but other people are going to point at me and tell me I'm wrong. Let's keep going. So Google and Meta have been so deeply invested in photo and video generation. No one's really just come right out and said it until today. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg sat down with Treasury's Ben Thompson and basically said his plan was to more or less eliminate the entire advertising ecosystem from creative on down. Zuck was talking about how AI has already improved the ad targeting, but now Meta is thinking about the ads themselves. So I'll give it this. On a long enough timeline, AI could definitely take over the management of ad campaigns for sure. So that makes complete sense. Now, the thing about it is, though, with AI, it's not necessarily that humans or the ads have just become replaced. It just has to make everyone level up. Just like when computers came out, you no longer had to rely on people to do the mundane tasks of manual math and just things like spreadsheets could do instantaneously, but it didn't put people out of work. It just made people learn a new skill set. It just becomes a higher level of controlling levers. That's what I think it's going to be. But let's keep reading this article to see what he means. Here's the quote. But there's still the creative piece, which is basically businesses come to us and they have a sense of what their message is or what their video is or their image, and that's pretty hard to produce, and I think we're pretty close. Could be, could not be. I still think there's always going to be sense for someone using creative or making ads and making videos. There's always going to be a use for that. AI can help a lot. Maybe, like, this is where AI could really help. If you're an ad agency and you really are a design agency, rather than having one ad artist make, let's say 10 creatives in an hour or 10 creatives in 2 hours, you can maybe exponential that to 100 creatives in an hour. And you could just serve so many more people. Like, that's one way to retool. I don't even deal with creative as much, but that's one way to retool your artists to do better, because a human is always going to have better judgment, context. Well, let me reframe that. They're going to have a better way to articulate an ad piece to other humans. The human to human interaction is where the human is valuable, right? So AI can make something and it's cool, but oftentimes you can spot it, or it's a deepfake, or it doesn't say the right thing. I've explored a lot with Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini. I use it daily. It's pretty awesome, but it still is not going to replace what we do. We just have to retool. So this is kind of the interesting part. Bank account. Okay. He mentions bank account. Yeah, we just make it for them. I mean, obviously, it'll always be the case that they come with a suggestion or here's the creative that they want, especially if they really want to dial it in. But in general, we're going to get to a point where if you're a business, you come to us, tell us what your objective is, you connect your bank account, You don't need any creative. You don't need any targeting demographic. You don't need any measurement except to be able to read the results that we spit out. I mean, I strongly disagree with this because as essentially a media buyer or ad expert, I just don't think that's true. One reason that's not true is because Meta is not the only ad platform to exist. The other dominant platform right now is Google. And there's other dominant platforms too, like TikTok. So even though they work very similarly, they do have different audience bases. And just the mere fact that they're separate channels, Meta just doesn't have all of it. Just the pure fact that they're separate channels means that you'll need some sort of expert either on your team or that you outsource to that knows this stuff, knows how to differentiate the metrics behind it, knows when, hey, this is actually not right. We shouldn't spend more money here. Or, hey, we should spend more money here. Classic case in point, Google Ads with PMAX, like for car dealers as an instance, because that's the primary demographic of who I serve and who's watching this. If you just follow blindly what Google says, they're just going to keep raising your budget and you may not get increased results, right? You have to know the levers and how to steer it correctly. And oftentimes, people that are not super educated in the ad tech world don't know those levers and therefore end up wasting a bunch of money. And that's how businesses like mine grow, right? It's knowing the specialty behind the mechanism that works so you can move it and steer it in a way that's most profitable for the business. And I don't think that any AI, at least now, is going to be able to replace that. So, and especially when he talks about the results that we spit out, dude, half the revenue results for e-commerce agents or e-commerce companies that we handle that Meta claims attribution for is actually not true. I use a third-party platform to actually validate that Meta's attribution for revenue is completely false. So, especially with Apple iOS 14 so many years ago, privacy tracking, I don't think Meta has a clear view of what revenue actually is. So I disagree with that too. So maybe Meta wants to get to a point where they just, give me your bank account, small business, and we'll do everything for you. But if they can do that, then you're just going to be completely commoditized, right? Like if you're a plumbing business and you decide to run ads on Meta and you just give them your bank account and creative, you will be no different than any other plumbing business using the exact same thing. The only difference is going to be the ad creative that you use, the actual marketing, taglines that you're using, the targeting audience. You'll need an expert to kind of navigate you through that. Now, the expert may not build it all out like they do now or like they have done in the past, but they'll at least know the framework on which to operate to actually make the difference. Quote unquote difference makers, right? So I don't know. I agree with that the ad industry is changing rapidly, almost daily, but it's not going to wipe out ad experts, right? It's just going to make ad experts level up and be more data centric, data focused, and actually data validators, if I may say, rather than just making ad creatives, researching keywords, that type of deal. So, there's some other. Here, I've been calling the swirl of ideas for AI power advertising infinite creative, and we've seen some interesting demos of it in the past, NVIDIA keynotes, but I've never heard anyone pull the thread all the way to connect us to your bank account and read the results we spit out. I mean, it's pretty, just fundamentally, I'm just in the soup of ads all day long, and ad platforms don't know anymore the results that they're driving. You have to interpret the results. So everything's going to become more data centric. So if he said, hey, it's going to change completely, yeah, I'd imagine that. But I think it's more data centric now because meta ads, their attribution lies, man. Fundamentally hostile to the world of big brands and big ad agencies who have all built elaborate systems to audit the result platforms provide them after a decade of ad fraud and measurement scandals, who have very strong opinions on what platforms like Meta can and cannot do well. Exactly, man. They can't. Meta's great. It's a great platform. We use it. We're getting powerful results out of Meta, but not all of the type of campaigns work well. For instance, one Meta ad campaign that works pretty well that we just launched 10 days ago is a lead generation campaign. But it's because we didn't even put that much into the ad copy, but we connected all these systems together. And then we let the optimized targeting do its thing. That works really well. Another one is a lead generation campaign for people looking up specific information. So that works really well. But direct revenue sales influencing with Meta, I mean, the backend platform does not tell the truth. So let's read some quotes here. I sent Mark's quote to some major players in the ad industry to get a reaction. It was worth withering. Brand safety is still a big issue, definitely, because AI is going to have really big trouble with compliance and brand guidelines. So letting them make and also optimize creative is scary. The promise of his vision, just read the results they spit out, is the problem. No clients will trust what they spit out. Here you go. No clients will trust what they spit out as they are basically checking their own homework. Yeah, they're just going to pump up their numbers. I mean, I have countless examples where we use a third-party attribution software. Meta takes credit for all this stuff. Google's also taking credit, and both of them are wrong, right? It was actually mostly the case where Google is underreporting their attribution, which shows that they're losing visibility more and more now than ever, and Meta is way over-reporting. Excuse me. Way over-reporting. It's crazy, right? Another media exec. Read the results that we spit out is gold, they said. The full cycle towards their customers from moderate condescension to active antagonism. I don't like to swear on this channel. I don't really understand that part. Meta makes a lot of money selling to small businesses, as to small businesses. But like Google, it's not always good to spend more money in their platform. And honestly, the customer support is crazy crappy. All of them. All the major platforms, the customer support is crazy crappy. We have to like throw spaghetti at the wall to test things. So, long story short, I kind of get what he's saying, but I think it's not correct. It's not that the ad industry will go away. It's that it's going to have to retool. And we're retooling every day. One of the primary metrics that I heard from a successful CEO recently is he's asking his employees, how often and what degree are you using AI in your daily tasks? You know, that's become a KPI. And I think that's very interesting, right? And you can kind of go back to the place where computers first start to come out and the internet. And, you know, everybody's in majority is slow to move to adapt to new things because it's difficult. But now with the internet, we can't live without it. With artificial intelligence, just like Google search, I mean, I don't think we'll get to a point where we're so accustomed to it, we won't be able to live without it, which is good. But inevitably, when everybody uses it, the service will become commoditized where there's always going to be a spot for industry experts to be able to make the difference. Now, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to just be in creating the best ad or writing the best copy. It might be in interpreting the data and being to aggregate data and move quickly. That's what we're finding. So there's always room. There's always room for ad specialists, ad creators, but you will have to retool. Love to know your comments, everybody. Let me know what you think of this article. Full article in the description. David Feldman-Makrias. Talk to you soon.